Okay, so today actually I have something pretty exciting I think to share. I don't know if it's probably not revolutionary or anything, but because it's already out there, but I think it's maybe I could jump in the bandwagon and kind of like spread this idea. So essentially the idea that I wanted to share today is that becoming really smart is I'm not saying it's easy, but it's I don't want to say simple. It's multifaceted. Like there's a lot of variables that come together, you know, to kind of like, they work together to basically provide you a result. Okay, so what do I mean? So with I want to focus in STEM right now. So with STEM, with science, technology, engineering, and math, um, I figured that literally, and this applies beyond STEM, that essentially the way to become like a genius, step one would really be to understand what you are engaging in. Sounds obvious, right? But there's a deeper layer to that. The deeper layer to this is that to truly understand something, there's a technique known as the Feynman technique, which is to explain something, right? To reveal gaps in your knowledge, to be able to explain it to somebody who is younger and inexperienced and just not knowledgeable about your topic. But have we thought about, like how you really gain the ability to explain something? Well, what I have found for myself is that basically 10 times out of 10 times, or I would say maybe 9.9 times out of 10, visualization correlates to understanding. I would say really the other way around for most cases. I can't really speak for people with aphantasia, which are the people who are not able to make images in their mind. But um, and it goes a lot deeper, the philosophical inquiry with people with aphantasia. But I'm just focusing on people who have the ability to make images in their mind. You know, I'm able to make images in my mind, and I think that if I work on my visualization technique, I can definitely make it more vivid and more meaningful. So essentially, without speaking randomly about this, I'm gonna try to be a little more structured here. Um, Visualize to be able to understand something, you need to be able to visualize it, right? Or excuse me, the other way around. To be able to visualize something, you need to be able to understand something. And I'm just speaking in STEM right now because that's what I'm studying right now. And for example, let's just say you're simply, a super simple technique, right, in math, cross product. It's just essentially finding the the vector perpendicular to the plane that two vectors make. So like I'm just going to make two imaginary, you know, let's say just two imaginary vectors with these two pencils. And I try to hold them with one hand. But like let's say this is the plane, right? The plane is just like two-dimensional shape. Say like a square, right? Right here. So that plane, imaginary, right? Let's say you want to find the perpendicular vector. Perpendicular means the one that's like at a 90-degree angle from both of these. I can I can play around with that idea, which is nothing too complicated in the real world. Like once you start studying math, you kind of see that it's something that you have to learn, and once you master math, you see it's nothing complicated whatsoever. Um, but just essentially the message I'm trying to to send today is that um, to be able to visualize something, you need to understand something. And it's very interesting because when you visualize things, they engage multiple areas and lobes of your brain, the ones that are responsible for spatial reasoning. I forgot exactly which lobe is for which, but All I know is that you have to engage more lobes of your brain, meaning that more information is being stored across your brain. Say you are trying to visualize something, right? And you want to creatively manipulate it. Well, now you're engaging in um using the right brain and the left brain. So like you're using both of your lobes, both the lobes. But the other ones that I was talking to about previously was like the parietal lobe, the temporal lobe, the occipital, the prefrontal cortex, the frontal lobe. Um, but essentially, like you end up using more of your brain. It seems like I need to look up more the definitions to be able to explain it more clearly. But I've just seen that you can intuitively. I intuitively have made the connection that you can make. That you can essentially the more the information goes around your brain, it seems that the more connections you're able to make essentially, and it seems that it sticks better. And because it sticks better, that means that there's better encoding, meaning that it gets into your brain better. Um, so encoding is just the ability for your brain to store information, and retrieval is just the ability for your brain to pull out that information. Um, it seems like that's a two-way process for learning. I'm not really a learning expert, so I know I can already see somebody in the comments or somebody out there watching if this ever does get watched, trying to flame me because they're gonna engage in what's it called? Just basically just discrediting everything that I say because I'm not an expert. But then they would be falling into the credentials fallacy and not attacking the argument but the person. And if that's how they want to think, that's fine. But I don't really want to parrot what I have learned. More so want to you know kind of like bring forward what I have learned, but by first critically thinking about what it is that I have learned rather than just mindlessly parroting. I would rather be, if I were to be a parrot, in any case, it would be for something that I have critically, thought about. Um, Merging maybe multiple perspectives into, into one coherent argument. So yeah, that's something that I wanted to share. It's not how you become smart. Well, um, there's more things attached to being able to visualize. Like visualize one component of it. The other one is first principle thinking, and that is being able to strip everything down to its core fundamentals. Like that is so valuable. For example, in math, um, just being able to understand the nature and the derivation, the proof of the formula, it allows you to see the thought process behind the formula rather than just a plug and chug formula. Like a sorry, a cookie cutter formula. It's just nothing on its own. It's meaningless. Even a formula that has been derived yet has no meaning. It's just absolutely meaningless. Like it's just numbers on a paper on a screen. And I've seen, finding meaning in everything, being able to intuitively work with objects because math is literally just composed of multiple variables that make objects. Being able to work with objects and manipulate them at a conceptual level, it's just the best way to learn because but the best mathematicians, we can see that they work merely in concepts, in objects. And by objects, you're essentially using the chunking part of your brain, like um, the chunking ability of your brain. Sorry, like being able to store multiple variables into one object in one thing. Like instead of thinking 3.1415, like with those separate numbers, you can chunk them into one chunk essentially. And um, that's how I personally have learned a couple of digits of pi. I haven't practiced too much. I haven't used other techniques that a lot of people use, like the memory palace, the loci method, or even the major system, which is another way of memorizing numbers. But I know that it's a good um good technique to use, the chunking, because you can always couple chunking with other things like the memory palace. You can always memorize stories in chunk once you have encoded those numbers into words, into feelings. Like imagine being able to encode your, the first 1,000 digits of pi into a story with the major system, and you're able to bring feeling. You're able to see that vividly. At that point, you haven't just memorized the numbers, but you truly live those numbers, which is so interesting because when you live something and when something is truly part of you, it really gets it's just encoded into your memory forever. Like you barely ever have to review it. So that means that you're able to move into something else, to study something else. If you apply the system for learning, then essentially you embody the information. Um, yeah, like I know that sounds weird, but I'm just kind of personifying knowledge at this point. But yeah, something that I guess that's what I have seen about really smart people. They are able to solve problems really well, but the it's because again it's very hard to cover everything at once, because again there is the ability to visualize, which aids extremely well in memorization and a lot of things. Memory plays a big role. And problem solving, usually, I mean, I have seen that problem solving, you literally can learn problem solving by literally solving problems. Like it's weird. You solve problems and you see how that problem is solved, how the solution was, you know, stumbled upon, then or constructed. You see how that solution was constructed, and you see that thought process, and you can even apply that same thought process into other problems. So it's like it's pretty cool. Um, and there's a lot of things that come together. Once again, it's taking me a long time to really realize this, and I would say that I had really good intuition for a lot of things, and I was able to learn a lot of things really quickly. And one of them was music. I'm a multi instrumentalist, and I have made a system that actually I can share right here, right now, um, on how I basically became pitch perfect. I essentially, with my system that I created intuitively, I did not look this up or ways to memorize, but I have essentially, with the 13 keys that there is in an octave, 13 keys that there are in an octave, I assigned a song that started on the tonic for each key. The tonic is just that starts on the chord that I assigned it to. For example, if a song starts in C, I find a song that started in C, not started in some other chord like A minor or G or something like that. No, it starts in C. Um, for example, Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. That's a basic cookie cutter example. I have other songs that I've used for that. Um, but essentially, what I'm trying to convey is that if you find a song that is meaningful to you in that key, then you essentially rehearse each song that starts in each key. You go to your piano and you hit that key that starts. You play the song and you memorize. Essentially, you start singing it. And once you're able to sing each song mentally, there's gonna come a point when um you essentially do this at a subconscious level. It becomes part of you, embedded in you, and you can't really lose it unless you don't practice for like years. At least for my case, I was able to. Not, I don't even have to practice, and I have this for years, and I probably will lose my perfect pitch if I don't keep playing music because I'm really busy with learning business, with learning science and math and stuff like that, and theology as well, and philosophy. It's just a lot of stuff. But that's what I have observed. Essentially, genius is just people that have talent. They're just naturally more able to find a system or construct a system, build a process for what they are engaging in. And that increases the output because everything is based on its process. The process dictates the outcome. That's how it is. Like there's no way beating around this. It's based on reality. You cannot extract the process um from the outcome. Something has to happen to produce an outcome. And this is what I have seen. I have seen it with thinking. I've seen it with learning and everything. Um, with learning for STEM, again, if I can visualize this very clearly and I can manipulate it in space, in 3D space especially, if I can visualize right now a cube and I can visualize the sun, can I move around that cube? I'm right now moving to the left and the sun is that way. And now I'm moving back. There's a shade. Um, there's no shade, sorry. Because the sun was in the back. When I was in the front, there was a shade on the front. But as I keep rotating around that cube, and I'm able to visualize, right now I'm just visualizing the cube, the sun, the shades, and just a blank space. And if I can do that for other things, like what I was explaining before about the vectors, then like you can learn so much. Because again, like the visualization plays into memory and problem solving, and then people are gonna think that you are super smart and whatever, but no, you just have thought differently about something. Geniuses literally, for the most part, think differently, and though they can do usually more, it's usually the work that was done before that they are able to do more. Like they have mastered skills and processes that allow them to perform better. And it's pretty cool stuff. And some people are naturally able to find them faster than others, which gives the illusion that some people are smarter than others. And I think that's all it is, really. I think it's all an illusion, really. I think that intelligence is genuinely an illusion, and I genuinely think that unless there's a genuine biological impediment, handicapped, then like aphantasia, blindness, deafness. But like for us people who are normal, we're healthy. We have all of our senses. We are definitely all able to learn at a very, very, very high level. It just all starts in changing how we think. Um, yeah, there's so much to it. Um, what else can I say? I mean, there's so much to learning. But the core thing to start changing our perspective, well, we had to discover things ourselves, and we have to do the oh my gosh, I'm stuttering. The due diligence of observing and remembering and making connections. Oscillating between deep focus and relaxation, because relaxation is so important for the mind break, for the mind making connections, which is creativity. Barbara Oakley, in her book A Mind for Numbers, she talks about diffused and what was the focus mode or something like that. It's something diffused mode, and the other mode I forgot exactly what it is. But diffuse mode is essentially when you're not paying complete attention to something. You let the brain, essentially your subconscious, work through problems and on their own. But that requires, for that to happen, you need to do the work that goes before it. You need to deeply embed things consciously and focused in a focused manner. And I'm just thinking though, because this so plays into another thing, like people who are super productive, like two things. They get into the flow state, super focused and just relaxed. It's so effortless. But when they take um a break and they are recovering from that deep state of focus, they're essentially still, the brain is recovering, making connections. It's embedding everything into the mind. It is I forgot that word right now, but it is essentially um yeah, it's connecting everything. It's sitting and down in the brain, and it's learning at a deeper level. Andrew Huberman talks about how when you take short breaks and learn in short bursts, and you take a break, in that break, your brain is essentially learning like 20x speed or something like that, which is pretty interesting. But anyways, that's a random fact. It seems like when people go through this oscillation of deep focus in recovery mode, they're able to live such a productive life, and it's so interesting how that seems to be the key for a really high performing um life, really. and success in whatever you're trying to seek success in. Um, there's another thought that I really want to share, but I kind of forgot. Oh, the thought was that some people find certain activities energizing. Like I know some people like getting in this flow state. Some people can genuinely feel super energized, like genuinely. For example, doing something productive like exercising or reading a book that you're super immersed in it, and it of course requires focus, but you are genuinely, it brings you like basically life. Like it's so interesting that those activities that people deem like work, those are the activities that to some other people it's play for them. It's play, like it's relaxing, it is deeply satisfying, and then they oscillate between that is considered productive, um, or it is truly productive, and they switch to other things that they may not see as productive. Like in my case, doing schoolwork. It's kind of productive. It's productive, but it kind of satisfying in a way when I'm with a specific vision of why I'm doing this work. Um, when I study a certain way, it does give me a little bit of joy. Um, Especially planning on a business idea or innovation and a discovery research idea. That gives me a lot of. I love that stuff. And of course, it's a little bit tiring after a little bit, but like playing music for me, playing an instrument, it's that stuff is very fulfilling. Very fulfilling. I'm using different parts of my brain, and I'm relaxing in that sense. Even if I am focused on learning something and expressing myself through my instruments, whether it's the piano, the guitar, the bass guitar, drums, whatever it is, or sport, anything really, anything that you find super super satisfying. I know that video games. I stopped playing video games, like that because while I was like, it was something that I loved doing. Like I was just mentally exhausted afterwards because it was just too stimulating. And when I went back to work, it was just very 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 stimulating, and I would not be able to focus because the games that I was playing before I went to study now distracted me because I wanted to go back to the game because when I sat to the book, it was just not as stimulating. So I think I have refraining from video games maybe good. I don't know, depends, but we really have to evaluate that because there are some games that are not as stimulating. Like I don't know, maybe an aim trainer to work on hand-eye coordination. I don't know, but that's that. Yeah, I kind of went on a rant on what I have observed. There's many other things like structuring your work and being able to keep track of everything. Um, yeah, this is what I can say now. I think one of the most important things before anything is really working on your ability to engage with things. Like before working on many things, I feel like at least in my case, the bottleneck was my ability to engage with things. Because when I can engage with things at a deep level, like I learn really deeply, I can even learn faster because I'm learning the principles, right? The fundamental principles that make a theorem or a formula. And I can even derive the formula on my own. And I do have to choose when it's wise to do that, or when it's wise to just try to get by through the work, and because I don't have enough time when I really do. Um, yeah, I kind of lost my train of thought. But yeah, I hope that this video could have maybe given some insight, cause it's very important stuff. Like it can literally change your mind, your life by extension. Because if you think differently, you're essentially um, thinking in a more rare way, um, and more valuable in extension, assuming it's in the right direction, it's producing something good. It's what's one last thing before I go, because I can keep ranting for a long time. But value, that's literally what our economy is based on. Value is what our economy is based off of. And the great and crazy thing is that value is all subjective for the most part. if value is subjective, then that means that I have to only find problems that appeal, that most people are going to, and appeal to most people. For example, I'm not going to mention this because it's a business idea that I have, but I was thinking about a business idea. Um, and I was essentially just making observations. I have trained myself to make observations and to always think about if it's a problem that can be solved and be scalable. It turns out that it can be. Wait, I have this stupid notification. Um, it is. It was scalable and dang it, I don't want to lose my train of thought. Oh yeah, but the reason that I was able to come to that conclusion and most likely validate the business idea, because I'm collecting data right now from other people, is that I was able to essentially I was thinking differently. But why was I able to think differently? Because I'm asking different questions. You need to know what questions to ask, and that comes from first principles thinking. Having done my work and my homework in learning human psychology and doing having done my work in the business foundations and fundamentals, knowing what Maslow's hierarchy of needs, um and other things about psychology, about how certain things make things people feel, basics about marketing, just learning the absolute fundamentals, the core principles, have allowed me to see things completely differently. And again, I'm trying to learn how to vocalize and verbalize what is in my mind. I may not sound like I'm saying anything revolutionary, but in my mind, there's so much that I wish I could like say with clarity, and that's what I'm working on. I'm not saying super revolutionary things like super novel things. I'm saying big things because they are not things that are always put out there. I'm saying uncommon things. And maybe they are common and I just don't know it. What can I say? But even if it is common, right? Then how many people are doing it? How many people are actually taking action on that? Knowledge without application is just, it means nothing. Absolutely nothing. And that's what I'm trying to bridge the gap as well. I'm trying to bring bridge the gap between knowledge and action. But yeah, I said I was gonna say one last thing, and I got off on a tangent. But I said this one last thing for real because it's actually something I thought about. It's very important that I saw somewhere in another video. I forgot who said it exactly, but they essentially said something that changed my mind, my perspective a lot, or that influenced. It was like a building block for my perspective. Is that the thoughts that go in someone's mind is it's merely a buildup of the logical step forward. That sounds fairly logical, no? The thoughts in someone's mind is literally the next step forward, logical step forward in that person's mind. The crazy thing is that you see the disparity between two people who are at different stages. One person's skill level may be at a higher level than another. The person who is at a higher skill level, they're able to operate, of course, at a higher level and come up with genius, quote unquote, genius insight, genius level insight, because all the work that came beforehand, they were able to build that up, and at the crux of that information that they learned came an innovation, um, and a genius insight. Why does it look like a genius insight? Because all the work that came before it led to the next logical conclusion in that person's mind that built the skills and foundations. While the person at the lower skill level, it's a mere impossibility to come up with the insight that the person above had because they just did not lay the groundwork. They did not lay it. They did not cultivate. And it's a great thing that the parable, there's a parable of the sower that It talks about you laying your um essentially it's just saying the fruits that you lay and where you lay them and how you lay them are going to yield specific results. And even though it is talking mainly about Jesus Christ himself and salvation, yielding the fruits of the spirit, you can also take it into the practical sense that whatever you feed your mind is essentially where it's going to lead you. It should be logical in that sense. And if it's not, then I don't want to sound arrogant, but to me it's kind of logical in that sense. Um yeah, it honestly it's just based on logic, and I have to stop, or we should stop thinking of many people as like, at another level, that intelligence is fixed, that they're geniuses, and I'm never gonna be able to achieve that. But unfortunately, they may be, or not even unfortunately, they may be able or more naturally capable or able to figure out those processes that we talked about. Um, that applies to an outcome that they're achieving. They may be able to figure out naturally better ways to learn math and science. But if we are able to work slowly and build the foundation and work hard to strip ourselves of the old self and become a new person, a more renovated person, then if we keep persisting, dang, we can literally surpass them if it's at some point, if they stop working as hard. If they stop working as hard, which is, it's kind of, it kind of gives me hope. The kids who started math earlier, they started early. But, I struggle with math sometimes, especially when I move countries and schools. But now that I'm starting to strip myself of the old misconceptions that there's people that are good at math, there's people that are bad at math, but no, I started seeing it as a logical game. It's just a game. It's a logical next step based on what you have learned. I have been able to become much better. Not that I am the best. I'm gonna take this next summer to build my intuition, to deepen my mathematical intuition much deeper, because it plays into coding and it plays into physics, which are two things that I'm going to study a lot more deeply in my upcoming years. So yeah, the foundations. I hope that that was some help in some area, and I seriously hope that somebody watches this, because I know that there's so much insight here that it can be drawn from, and I want to learn if it did impact somebody and in what things that they could add, because again, I'm not trying to set myself as an authority figure. I just want to share what I have explored. This is what I have come to, and I'm trying to learn what other things there are out there. So yeah, maybe somebody out there already knew all this stuff, and that's completely okay. But I'm more catering to the ones that did not know this stuff before, and if they did know some stuff, I would love to hear from those people. Because I'm not even close to being at the top. Like, not even close. Um, yeah, like I would say I'm pretty average intelligence. I took a couple IQ tests, but I think they're stupid. I don't really know if IQ tests are real. I took a Mensa IQ one. But it was like a practice test, and I think the first time I got like a 120. I don't know, 126 ish. I don't freaking know, but I think it's just stupid. I don't want to boast about a number. All I know is that many people who were not high IQ, they were groundbreaking. Like, one person that my mind goes instantly to is Richard Feynman, the famous physicist who had allegedly an IQ of 121, I think, or 126. I don't remember, but he won Nobel Prize, and he was able to make meaningful contributions. So yeah, we all have different skills, attributes, um, backgrounds, upbringings, and stuff. So yeah, yeah. I also trying to learn how to beatbox. I know that was random, but I did I did learn how to beatbox, like the basics. But I'm not really gonna do it here because it's gonna. I don't know. I don't know if this is the place, but it's random skill. Um. Anyways, I hope y'all can find your way. Can find your place in this world and what your vision and mission is. I know that my mission as a Christian is to bring glory to God in all my work. Um, Also, I have an ideas journal. It'd be a good thing if y'all did that too. It's really useful. But this already went way too long. I This is another episode of like stream consciousness. I guess episode number 2, or technically episode 6, because it's day 6. I think the one today. So um, but yeah, all these videos have technically been stream of consciousness. It's just the first thing that comes into my mind, so I can start putting out videos. But yeah, so yeah.